Hey everyone, it's Harry here. Today we're joined by Ghosty McGhostface, and we're going to be sharing with you some definitions in relation to gender and sex and that kind of thing. And as just a disclaimer before we start, this isn't a complete list, and some of the words, as I'll mention, I'll make other videos on them because the definitions are too complex to discuss just in one video, because I want to make this kind of quick. And over time, sometimes words evolve, so what they kind of mean now may not mean that in the future, or other words may be used in their replacement. So let's get the ball rolling. First words on the list are more of acronyms, and they're AMAB and AFAB, and I just pointed to the wrong sides on the screen. And AMAB means assigned male at birth, and AFAB means assigned female at birth, and they're where the doctor or whoever it is looks at the baby just after it's been born, sees what sex characteristics it has, like whether it's got a penis or vagina kind of thing, and then slaps a label on their wrist. I think that's what they do. I've never been at a birth of someone, so I don't know. And then that's sort of where the gender is assumed based on their sex, and so if someone's assigned male, then they'll be like a baby boy, and assigned female, baby girl, yeah. Agender means lack of gender, so it's the idea that you don't feel like you're male or female, or sometimes anything in between. Your understanding of gender is unable to be labelled, I suppose, with the current vocabulary that's in existence. Cisgender means that the sex you were assigned at birth is also the gender that you identify with. Dead naming is where someone uses someone's birth name to refer to them, and occasionally you get like newspapers and things when they're talking about trans people using their birth name, when sometimes like without their permission as well, which can kind of bring back bad memories of people when, like, if the person whose name it was from when they were something, when they were the gender that they're not now. If that makes FTM. This point is the right way. FTM and MTF mean female to male and male to female, and it's where, in a way, a kind of binary transition from female to male or male to female. And gender is a really complex word, and I'm not going to really talk about it much in this video. I'll put another one, but it's sort of your internal understanding of who you are in relation, I guess, to your sex that you're assigned at birth, and can influence how you express yourself, etc. And for most people, their gender is binary, i.e. male or female, but for others it's not, and sometimes it's sort of based on a societal understanding of what you should do if you to fit certain gender role, but I'm not entirely sure, so that's why I'm making another video. Gender dysphoria is where your internal understanding of what your gender is doesn't match up with what your sex is, and can lead to a lot of discomfort and distress. And but it's not necessarily about like physical aspects. Usually it is, but there's also other aspects, such as within society, about how others perceive you and how that makes you feel, and makes you feel uncomfortable about who you are. Gender expression is the outward expression, such as through clothing and mannerisms, of your gender within the societal context, such as people dressing more typically masculinely or femininely, or something in between, or outside of this. Gender fluid, which is where their gender kind of changes over time, or changes at different stages. So they may present themselves differently at different times or behave in different ways. Yeah. Gender reassignment is that it usually means them medically, or changing names, dressing differently, living in the self-identified gender, and through this, if you kind of fall into those categories, if you're changing your gender, then you're protected under the Equality Act 2010, as gender reassignment is a protected characteristic, basically. So some people might think it just means medically, but there are other things, such as change your name, which means you're protected, say, from like harassment, etc., through the Equality Act 2010. Intersex isn't really related to gender; it's more related to sex. It's where you have sex characteristics of both male and female sex characteristics, but usually, in like, I don't want to say a number, but like, majority of the time when people are born, they're the like more prevalent, is that the right word, is sex is what you're assigned as, and usually people will end up, I don't know if it's when they're young, I'm not that involved in sex stuff because it doesn't directly relate to transgender, get like surgery and stuff, so they either male or female in terms of that. Yeah. Non-binary is basically, in terms of gender, refers to someone who's neither male or female completely. Pronoun is a word used when referring to oneself. For example, he, him, she, her, they, them. There are more, and I'll make another video on this at another stage. Queer is a word that kind of, in a way, anyone in the LGBTQ+ community can, that's where the Q comes from, can use to describe themselves, and in a way, sort of, the way I kind of understand it, it sort of means that you're different to others, mainly probably in terms of your gender or your sexuality. But there was a time where it was sort of used offensively, but the community sort of reclaimed it now as more of a positive word. But some people don't like referring to themselves as queer because it sort of, they still feel like the offensiveness of it. That makes sense. Sex is the primary characteristics that you have, such as your reproductive functions, and linking back to the first definition is sort of what assigns whether you're assigned female or male at birth. And transgender refers to someone who is, their understanding of gender in themselves is different to their sex, although some people who are, for example, non-binary or agender may feel they don't want to use the term transgender, but it can mean that it can be used to describe someone who is, for example, non-binary or agender, as well as someone who was born, as well as someone who's FTM or MTF. So, yeah. So I consider myself transgender because I was assigned female at birth and don't identify as female now. Yeah. Transitioning is the process, I suppose, of going from what you're assigned with at birth to what your understanding of who you are is through hormone surgeries, and sort of going back to the gender reassignment thing, like changing your name, how you express yourself, what bathrooms you use in public, and what pronouns you use, etc. But it can sort of be a lifelong process, especially with taking hormones, because usually have to take hormones throughout your life once you start them. So yeah, I thought this video was going to be short, but because I only had like a page of definitions, but it turned out longer. But hopefully this was sort of useful for you, and like I said, I'll probably be using these words quite a bit in videos in the future. And if you've got other words that you'd like me to define or talk about in a video, let me know in the description, and I shall do in the description, in the comments, sorry, you can't write in the description, that's my job. And Ghosty McGhostface would like to say thank you for watching, and so will I, and we shall see you. I don't know whether Ghosty McGhostface will be back, it depends if they like the video. We shall see you again on the next video. Yeah. Thanks for watching. Bye. I did that weirdly. Bye.